Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Desi Girl Sparkle. Desi Girl Sparkle is a podcast that I've started to help bring awareness to a lot of topics in the South Asian community that doesn't get talked about enough, that's been told to hide it away, topics that are told to put in the back of your mind, not discuss, and not bring awareness to. So, my goal for this podcast is to bring those topics to light, bring it out to the world, and my hope is that people watching can relate to it, can feel comforted knowing that they're not alone in the struggles that they might be facing, and that there might be something we could all learn about some of these topics. So today I'm joined by three incredible people. One is Jaina Patel, she's my cousin. The second one is Shalini Patel, she's my foy, which is my aunt. And the third is my mom, Jyoti Patel. And today's episode is going to be centered around divorce. So, divorce is one of those topics that has always been shunned in our community. It's something that people have always looked down on. And so, today we're going to take the time to talk to these three lovely ladies, and they'll share their experience with us.
So it was an arranged marriage. It was the time when they don't look at the comparable, the guy and the girl, or they used to look at the family background more. He was raised in United States. I was raised in India. So I guess it was like a whole cultural difference. But when I got married on his side, he married me because his parents expected him to marry a traditional girl. He didn't have the courage to stand up to his parents and say, no, I don't want to go to India. No, I don't want to get married. I want to marry somebody in US. And me being naive at the age of 21, raised in a conservative family, I wasn't smart enough to pick up that vibes right away, that there's something wrong, you know after I came to United States, when I started seeing the behavior of him being keeping me isolated, meaning I was in the joint family, but he would never be home. He was a student, so he was at the campus. Took a while to figure out that no, there's something major wrong here, and me at that age, I felt like something was wrong with me, which is causing the problem, and took me a while to get out of that, but ended up getting divorced a year later.
How old were you?
I was 21 when I got married, and during the whole process of getting divorced, it was like a mental torture from his side of the family, making phone calls, making me feel like, oh, if you need money, we're going to be able to send you money, but I don't want you to go out and work. And it was all a chaos. Something that basically they were threatening me that if I ask for anything during the divorce, um, then they're gonna send me back to India. They're gonna take away my green card and all that stuff. Was a big mental toll on me during that time.
I can't even imagine having to go through something like that. Jaina Bin, do you want to share your story?
Sure. Mine probably happened 30 years later. Dynamics don't really change too much in our culture, specifically in our Gujarati Liva culture. I was also engaged by 21. Met him independently from the family doing their own introductions or whatever, but found out that they were actually trying to start what we call a vat with him. So indirectly, we were choosing the same person. But, when I told my dad about it, it was very like, hey, I just started talking to this person and, I like him. And from the minute they found out, both sides, we were on a time clock and then we had to decide. Once you're put on a time clock like that, and I can't even say I'm first generation, right? I was born in India and I came here. So for me, I know whatever they tell me. I don't know what I'm capable of at this point. And so when they put us on a time clock, naturally you're thinking, okay, well, I have only this much time to decide. you're not given the option of having an opinion about it, And so the decision was made, we decided, sure, we'll go ahead and get married, but 12 years, 14 years down the road, we're divorced. And, a lot of it is because we didn't stand up for ourselves. And we were very young when we were married. I was fresh out of school, had not even lived independently on my own yet outside of college. And here I am being shoved into a marriage, and what I'm thinking is, okay, this is the next natural step in life, right? And that's because that's just what we're told. And so you're trying to make your parents happy, your family happy, whoever, not realizing that you're probably not ready for this yet. You may not have even matured enough to be ready for a committed relationship, and a marriage at that. And then on top of that, now all these responsibilities of being a daughter-in-law are thrown at you. So there's these unnecessary expectations of what you should do. And uh, you know, it was looked down that we even lived, far away. They were like, "Why are you living far away? Why can't you live near us?" And "Oh, she's independent, she's working, and this and that." And so it was a lot still of that traditional mindset, even in someone like me who is only 5 years divorced now. You know, so I think that our culture does not do a very good job of allowing independence and freedom of opinion and freedom of speech to the females. And so when the divorce ended up happening, it was realization that we haven't been the right fit for each other for a very long time. We were very bad at communicating with each other about that aspect. We should have taken steps to realize and understand what's going on. Coming straight out of school, I wasn't at the maturity level of being a wife that's committed to being a great daughter-in-law and working full time and juggling all these different things. We were thrown into the recession right when we got married. It was a huge shift for us. As soon as we got married, the recession happened. Now I'm supporting him for the next like 3 years. Like it was just chaos all the time. So um, for me, it was a very different, an eye-opening scenario too, where I'm trying to show them, hey, I bring in worth to this, relationship. Not just financial worth, but worth as a human being, a person, uh, someone that brings in like 50%, right? 50% effort in everything versus them thinking, okay, no, she needs to, be able to cook, and, she needs to be able to come and visit, and she should be calling all the time and this and that. And it just I got to a point in life where I was just so unhappy, you know, that I was like, if I don't do something major, this is not going to end well. We're just and I can't be in that mindset that so many of our, other like, friends and family members are in, where they just live in an unhappy, unhealthy relationship with each other. So for me, it was really difficult, especially because I had already had kids, and now this is going to affect my kids. And you live with a lot of guilt. You live with a lot of guilt because you're like, hey, I'm selfishly making this decision and causing grief and pain for my own kids, right? Because they're not going to be with me full time anymore. And we're in the day and age also now where men want to be with their children. So I have to split custody. I don't have a choice. And I made the painful decision to get the divorce, knowing that I'm going to have to, put my kids through all of this. So there's a lot of residual guilt that you are going to live with for the rest of your life.
I was 20, and it's kind of funny how, well, not funny, but the difference between Jana's and your mom's and mine, 30 years or more different, yet some of it still all applies, same kind of scenario. Being that even though like Jana got to probably go college and do that, you're thrown into this with no experience with other men, boys, men, whatever. You don't know how you're supposed to act. You don't know what you're supposed to expect or not expect and do like she said. And then for me, one of the other things was weight. Back when we were doing it, it truly was the parents that saw you, and said it. And it's like when I was out and about, I felt like guys would think I was cute. But when it came to the parents, I was too heavy. So I always felt like I didn't get that chance with certain guys that might have thought I was cute or attractive. But, and then there was another factor for me being brought up in England. I was caught between worlds. I didn't understand the very Indian side, and I was scared of it, to be honest. I mean, the way I saw things very traditionally, the traditional Indian role, even though my mom pretty much did the traditional Indian role, I was still afraid of it. So, me going into my marriage thinking this guy was European, plus, I mean, he had lost his parents, so there were no in laws. I thought it was going to be easier, and it ended up being harder. His family, his sister and brother in law, and everything were more backwards than taking someone straight out of India. That's how backwards they were. They were unreasonable. I mean, they would say that the woman's never supposed to leave the kitchen. She's never supposed to go back home. She shouldn't dress up. The guy should pick everything out. They were just completely, and they were feeding this information into his head. I
Mhm.
think he was overall a nice guy and he wanted to do the right thing, but he was hearing all this chatter, bad chatter from his family. So, and then at that point is even when I realized that maybe if he had nice parents, maybe I could have had support. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but it didn't work out that way. It actually hurt. Yeah.
think I think sometimes, and I can, because I used to be in communication with you when you were going through your stuff, and I have been in communication with Jaina as well when she was going through this. That a lot of times, even though you have a good relationship with your husband, lot of time the families torturing to the guy, like, oh, your wife is not doing this, or your wife is, that affects your relationship to a point that it can lead to divorce. I mean, at that point, if the guy if your husband is not going to stand up for you or try to balance it, it can become an issue.
Thank you guys so much for sharing. I can't even imagine how tough it must have been to go through something like this. What was the response like when you talked to your friends and family about what you were dealing with and ultimately your decision to get divorced?
Surprisingly, mom and dad, my brothers and all, they were very, very supportive. Actually, they all were in India when I was going through all this. The first thing Girish Bhai, my older brother, and my dad and mom told me was, don't even worry about it. We'll take care of you for the rest of our lives. You don't need to worry about it. As far as them are concerned, they were very, very, very supportive. But over here I was in States, they were in India. My mom's brother, my mama and mommy were the one who took care of me, who took me in, and they're like my parents. They were very, very supportive. My friends were supportive. The society was not supportive. People were judgmental. I had a hard time for about almost a year and a half to get out in any social gatherings or festivals or anything, because you are the target of gossip.
Mhm.
They don't know the story. They don't know what I've gone through. They don't know what kind of pain I had been where I wasn't able to talk to anybody, because it was a long period of time that I wasn't able to talk to anybody. But nobody was there. So they can't be judging me, but they were. It was difficult for me to get out, but I would not have opened up, or I would not have got out of it if my mama and mommy didn't support me. They, the one who pushed me and said, no, you haven't done anything wrong. You're fine. We are here. Let people say what they want to say, and that makes a whole lot difference when you're going through this. You need somebody who's going to understand, or who's going to tell you that it's going to be okay. you know. I mean, that time we didn't have therapy and all that we have now. You know, your support system, your family is your support system if they are there with you. You know, I was lucky that I had them.
I wouldn't say I had it like that. I mean, I had like you and people I could talk to, but I don't think I could tell mom and dad. I mean, it wasn't until the end. And to be honest, he was the one that asked for out, which was the right choice. I would have hung in there. As bad as it was, we were fighting all the time. I think we were both immature. Yeah, it just wasn't right. Yeah, overall, the family, overall in general, our family, I think most of them were good. If you remember, soon after we went to a wedding, and everyone was supportive except one person. One person said, "The first divorce in our family." That,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. But that's a whole different story. I understand now people don't always know what they're saying. But yeah, but what you said, going out was tough.
Yes.
Indians, I mean, not only do they talk about you, I'm sorry, that's generalizing, but they sneer at you right to your face.
Yeah.
Right to your face. You know they're talking about you.
Yeah. And most of the time, they have already judged that it's your fault.
Yeah,
They have
absolutely.
already made that decision that it's your fault.
Yeah,
You know, that, oh, it's a woman's fault.
it's the woman's fault.
She should have fixed it, you know?
Yeah. Women tend to bear the brunt of the pain when it comes
Yeah.
to the
And
divorce.
it's just, Jana, you were in the same position, even way back then, where they wanted more traditional wife, but I was doing 50% or more of the income. And I was working 10-hour days. And, I just felt like a housemaid and,
Mm.
you don't feel like you're in a relationship. It's
Yeah.
tough.
It's for me, the support was bad. I wouldn't say it was a positive experience of getting the divorce itself. It was very rough. There were, family members that could not understand why we couldn't work it out. And then there's friends that decided that they were just going to take sides and just stop talking to you cold
Uh-huh.
turkey, not even
Mm.
what's going on. So for me, it was very, very difficult. I lost a lot of my friends because they chose sides and they don't know the whole story because nobody bothered to ask. Nobody
Yeah.
said, "Hey, what's going on?" So that aspect, then, at least nowadays you have your doctors you can talk to. I was on depression meds. I was on because obviously this is a very traumatic experience for myself. So I needed a coping mechanism. And if I didn't have a coping mechanism, then it was just going to be, even worse, like being able to function and go to work every day and, tell the kids everything's going to be fine. I was on sleeping medication because I couldn't sleep at night. The stress, the anxiety, the shunning of you in society, where all of a sudden all these friends that you had gone, group chats they remove you from. I mean, it's just a total, like, destruction of your life, and you have to work to literally build yourself back up from the rubble. I mean, it's
Mm.
it's nasty. It's a nasty thing. And I really wish that people were more supportive. Knowing what I've been through, when anyone asks about that, I tell them 100%. If you're not happy, try try to make it work out. I would never encourage a divorce, but don't don't be like, don't be using your kids as an excuse. Don't be using whatever else as an excuse. You need to be happy in life. And if you're not happy, your kids are always going to see an unhappy marriage, and that's what they're going to think that marriages should be. And that's not what, I wanted my kids to see, is constant fighting and us not getting along, and mom and dad are in the same room but never in the same place together, those kind of things. So, it's a sacrifice you have to make, but yeah, it comes with a lot of after effect. Lot of after effect.
What helped you in your healing process? What helped you begin the process even to start healing and moving forward?
So when When my mama called, when the divorce thing was going on, or when it was initiated, when my mama called and asked him what was the problem between me and my ex, his answer was that I was very traditional and that I did not speak English, and he couldn't introduce me to his friends because he was ashamed that I'm more traditional. He was a student. He wasn't working. He didn't have any income. I didn't have any income. He was dependent on his sister. How did he expect me to be all modern and hi-fi and all? I mean, it was just few months that I have come from one country to another. I don't even know anything around here. I never got a chance at his place to open up myself and do show the skills that I could have had. Um, you know, so what what made me angry was, you don't know me well enough to know what I'm capable of. So that anger inside of me, and then my mama saying, he knew that I was the first girl in our family to go to an English medium school. So I can't speak English is not an excuse. Okay. But my mama said, you be independent. I don't want you to be making beds in the hotel or do anything like that. You are capable. So he enrolled me in a business school because I had a bachelor's degree from India. So he enrolled me in a business school. I started studying. I graduated with honors. I got a job at the corporate office of the college I studied from. These are all the positive things that started coming in my life after the divorce, which made me feel good about myself, which was what I was lacking when I was going. I wasn't feeling good about myself because for the longest time I was feeling guilty. That's something was wrong with me. It was me, because of me, that it didn't happen. But then I started realizing it wasn't me. It was circumstances. It was him. I don't want to blame anything. I feel like whatever happened happened for the best for me, because I started looking at things differently. I started seeing what is out there that can create an identity for myself. And that just gave me a direction to go to. And that's how I guess I started healing. Now, if you want me to say that I forgive and forget him, no, you know, no, I can't. I can't forgive him because he didn't have any right to ruin my life. He didn't have any right, because my dad was a hardworking man who worked so hard, and the guy's family wanted a big wedding. My dad had spent a lot of money in doing the big wedding, and, unofficial dowry kind of thing went through. They took everything away, and, you know, all that anger that I had, that you didn't have right to take anything from my dad like that. My mom and dad worked very hard, and it affected my parents' reputation and all. But they were proud of me, my family was proud of me, and that's all it matters.
For me, I sunk myself into work. So, I mean, I was got my first place by myself and got my own apartment and did my job, and that was scary. But as the time went by and I saw that I was doing it and I was excelling at work and saving some money, and I was getting that strength there of independence, and that was very healing. I would like to say that I had, there was, again, no therapy really, that I had worked on my inner self, but I really had not. I don't think I saw that part or understood that part still. So it was buried deep, that part of it. But I grew strength wise, independence wise. Basically, you make that decision that you want to always be able to take care of yourself and not depend on anyone.
And for me, healing was just time. A lot of it was time for me. I found a better job. I was, partially unhappy with not just the relationship, but professionally unhappy as well. And I worked really hard for a year after the divorce to just look until I found a job that I really was interested in. I ran after it and waited until, the opportune time to apply for the position. And that made me so much happier, finding something meaningful to me that made me excited to, come into work every day. Healing some of my relationships with my friends who, it's funny because the divorce, it doesn't just affect you. When you have such good friends and close friends, it almost feels like you're tearing them apart too because they are feeling a certain way. And so part of it was just, talking with some of the friends that still wanted to be my friends and, having that, hey, what's on your mind? Let's talk about it and let's, get over it so that we can move on. Because there were friends that wanted to continue relationships. And the ones that did, I have such great relationships with now. And that was really helpful for me because time not only healed some of my relationships, but helped me get off my medicine. I went on it with the intent of I needed to get through this phase in my life and I'm not going to be on it forever. I'm a very strong-willed person and I got myself off of everything as well. So, being able to do that helped me personally feel better because I may be in medicine and I may be a pharmacist, but I hate taking it. I hate taking medicine. So, I wanted to be off of it as quickly as possible, And so I'm a very compartmental person, experience that emotion in the time and then I lock it up and throw it away in the back of my head and it's gone. And yes, there's going to be triggers, that bring those emotions back, but for the most part, I'm pretty good at just kind of moving forward and not looking back. And so that's basically what I had to do is just look forward, just cancel the noise around you, look
Yeah,
forward and
definitely.
try not to listen to people when they're around you because the first thing they do is stare and then whisper.
And one thing I don't know about you too, but trust, it becomes very difficult to trust anybody when you go through this. Anybody. I mean, it took me a while to start trusting your dad as well. But anybody around you, even right now, whether it's business, whether it's work, I cannot trust anybody easily. I have to really think over, I have to give two, three chances before I can say, okay, yeah, this is fine. My gut feeling is going to tell me if something is wrong right away, So trust issues is going to be there. I guess it takes a while for you to completely start trusting somebody. I don't know how you guys felt.
Trust was never something I had in anybody, including myself sometimes, but it's definitely, that much harder to trust the next person down the line because you have to trust yourself you're making that decision and it's a good decision. And then you have to trust your partner and, hope that, okay, hopefully this is the last time you're getting married if you do get remarried. Yeah, trust is definitely, priority.
I I think I'm a little too trusting and I want to go in trusting. I think though I probably had subconsciously the self-sabotage, and that's where the not trusting was coming in. That way. It was coming in through the back end.
It's so interesting to me to hear that the three of you have mentioned feeling a lack of self worth and confidence and not having any independence. But the way that I know the three of you, those are the exact words I would use to describe you. All three of you are very independent, very self sufficient, and very confident women. I mean, but before you are a single mom, you've raised an incredible, incredible child all by yourself. Jaina Ben, the way that you've handled your family, the way that you take control over your career, the way that you've navigated a joint family dynamic, I mean, it's so strong and so admirable. And then, mom, you too. I mean, you raised three incredible kids, maybe two, maybe one, maybe let's just say one and call it a day. But it's just incredible to me that it seems like after the divorce, you guys kind of found your wings and began to fly. What advice would you give to your younger self if she were listening to this today?
I would say don't blame yourself for things that you can't control. Okay. Um, I know, you just have to be strong. Speak up for yourself. You know, don't be afraid. If your heart tells you you are not doing anything wrong, don't be afraid. Stand up for yourself if nobody else will. Take care of yourself and everything will fall in place. Like Jaina said, let it go. Don't look back if that's going to hurt you. Just move forward and stay positive. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the main thing I could tell my younger self is have some faith in yourself and some confidence in yourself. Don't always listen to what other people say. Like, have an opinion and voice your opinion. I think that's probably one of the most important things that I could have told my younger self. And looking back, that's what I think to myself. Why didn't I have the confidence to put my foot down? Why didn't I, say I'm not ready? Why didn't I say, okay, well, you can't force me to make a decision in 6 months? And God, had I done that, life would have been completely different right now.
I agree. I definitely wish I had the self confidence. Be confident. Be independent. You're stronger than you think, and don't depend on someone else to make you happy. You're not going to find it that way.
Part of that was, a lot of doubting yourself too when you were that young. Like, oh well, will I find another guy like him with a family
Right.
like this and people
Yeah.
that get along? And what if I don't? What if I'm not pretty enough? What if they don't, appreciate my career? And what if this and what if that? And it's
Yeah. What if nobody else wants me?
yeah, there's just so much
It's a
doubt,
big one.
so much doubt. Yeah, I think time gives us the ability to mature and
Yeah.
make sound decisions for ourselves, right?
Mhm.
And you know, you don't look at these things as mistakes. You look at these things as, learning opportunities. And this was an opportunity for me to learn, grow confidence in myself, understand that, maybe I wasn't even behaving the way I should have been in my marriage because I didn't know how to behave. Knowing, having the value of that and putting it towards your next relationship or, whatever other steps you take in life is so meaningful and impactful now because now it's like, okay, I see where I made my mistakes and I know how to course correct. So I can, make sure that my kids understand when they ask me, why can't we live in our old house again? Continue to explain to them, why can't you and dad be in the old house again? You have to explain to them, well, dad and used to fight a lot. Is that something you enjoyed listening to? Would you have enjoyed listening to that continuously? That's not something that I wanted for you. I wanted you to see, two people happy, and that's not where we were. So, giving that education, I don't think I could have had I been in the relationship still.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Anjali can probably explain it better. But the support system that your family can be a big support system, and that's why growing up to my three kids, I told them that, you know whatever it is, don't ever feel hesitant, because some kids are not able to communicate even at this time and age. Some kids are not able to communicate with their parents about what's going on. That no matter what it is, there is always a solution to any problems that comes in life. You might not like that solution, but there is a solution. But you are not going to be able to resolve it till you communicate, till you talk to us.
We say that to our kids now, and it
Yeah,
sounds like you had a little bit of that with your parents, but
yeah.
with our
They-
generation and our parents, they may have had their inklings, I don't know, or whatever, but they were not told a word until the
right.
very end.
Yeah,
It was always don't make them worry, don't bring shame to the family.
yeah, yeah.
So I never said anything till the end.
And my last question, what advice would you give to someone who is either considering divorce or actively going through the process of divorce right now?
Give it your 100% to see what can be done to fix it. But don't stay in the relationship if you are not valued, first of all. If you are getting insulted, if somebody's putting you down all the time, You don't want that because it damages you from inside. That's not going to help. It would be better if that's what's happening, then it's better to end it before it gets to, if before it's too late. And it's okay to end. It's okay. Like Jaina said, you don't want your family or your kids to see the unhappiness because that's not healthy for their growth as well. If staying apart and being happy in front of the kids, if that's good, that's so be it. There's always a new beginning. So it's okay. It's okay. Don't blame yourself if it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. It's just part of life.
Yeah, and ultimately, you don't ever want your kids to resent you because you ended up staying in a relationship where you
Yeah.
shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
So if, whatever the case was, if there was abuse or if there was neglect or, unfaithfulness or whatever, you don't ever want the kids to neglect the other parent and say, I resent you for doing this, and take sides or anything like that because that just ultimately, results in a bad relationship with you and your child. And for people that are considering it, like Foy said, always try to make it work. Put your effort into it because it's much harder to get the divorce itself and then, the repercussions of it moving forward for the rest of your life. And then if that's the way you want to go, then, you know, you're going to have to find legal help. You can't do it on your own because it always turns out messy. And always be prepared when, they tell you, "Oh yeah, we'll work it out. Don't worry, we'll work it out." Once the lawyers are involved and things get put on paper, it always gets messy because
Yeah.
then people start looking at things like, "Well, never mind." So be prepared that you might have had a amicable, breakup, but when it gets to the legal part of it, it almost always is going to be, a fight for something or the other.
Nowadays, definitely counseling to see if what the issues are, because you know how it is. It's the true cause is so buried that you need help figuring out where
Yeah.
the true issues are and not that everyday complaints that you have. So if someone can help you lean on friends, on professionals to guide you through it.
Yeah.
And then if it does end up in divorce, then like Jana said, you do need to get your finances in order. It's a step-by-step process. Take it day by day. Don't worry about the complete future. You got time for that. Prioritize your health and take care of yourself.
I think, I would like to leave with a message here that a lot of times, a lot of families they still don't approve of counseling. They still sometimes they would be like, "Oh, he's not crazy. Why does he need?" It's not that. Need that mental support. So if your child or somebody that somebody close to you, if they want to go and seek professional help, talking to a counselor, support them please, because that is their healing process, and all we have to do is support them. You know don't think that they're crazy and they don't need to see you. Tell us what the problem is and we'll take care of it. No, sometimes the parents are not going to be able to take care of the problems for them, but professional people, they are trained to do that. They'll be able to help. uh,
Yeah, and they can almost negatively influence you as well, the parents, and they can also be the kind of parents that are like, just take whatever he gives you or, whatever. And so you're thinking, okay, yeah, that's good enough, but it's really not because
Yeah,
the
just walk
lawyers will know
away.
the
Just
best.
yeah.
yeah.
Lawyers know the best. I would have never known that I deserved this and this and this had she not told me. You know what I mean? And had everyone not been open on both sides with what are our finances, what are our assets, what are our investments, this, that, I may never have known because there's certain aspects that, it's again, some of the stigma of women is sometimes women just don't get too that involved into, the finances part of, their relationship. And so therefore they don't even know that they've got investments here or there or whatever the case is. So just making sure you know exactly where everything is, what all you have, and the fact that if you don't think it's fair and he's pushing you and pushing you, you just tell your lawyer and they will handle it for you. And the two lawyers will talk and figure it out. So, you know, stand up for yourself during the divorce. That's the, best advice I can say. Stand up, know your worth because you have worth and don't let them milk you.
Jaina, I have to say, I'm very proud of seeing the way, like Anjali said, the way you handle things at home with your kids, wonderful kids, all of them,
Thank you.
glad you're happy and, doing good in your career. Is Bobby Ben, you have always been my best friend and, you have raised a wonderful child. I'm very, very proud of you as well.
Thank you. Same back.
Same to Foy,
Staying with
yeah.
you and Manish Bhai was a big change in my life.
You bounce back really well, Foy, and you've raised 3 kids that, I don't know, we're still questioning Yash, but you've raised 2 very, very, strong, independent females, that know their worth and they know they have an opinion and they know
Yes.
that they can't be shut down by someone else. So, you've done a great job of raising your girls. Talk about Yash on another podcast.
Yeah. I have
For having
one
us.
ending statement. Divorce is a circumstance, not a failure of your value as a person.
That's beautiful. Yes. Yes.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much to you guys. And I'm so incredibly proud to know you guys and to know your stories and your strength.
And we're
Thank you,
proud of
Anjali.
you too, Anjali.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Well-
being here and for sharing your stories today. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.